be pulling back on a technical level, but the market just never works like that. When it's really cooking, you know, the market likes to cook. And so there is a chance that, frankly, you know, if these supports hold in the market, you know, all of a sudden, you know, we may go red to green or have some type of bounce. We just have to be careful because we are a little bit overbought, and we frankly need to pull back a little bit just to kind of relieve some congestion. You know, what you're seeing with a lot of stocks, especially the stocks that we like to trade, is they're just getting, you know, they're just getting a little long in the tooth and grinding a little bit higher. Same thing, right? You know, with some of these things like SQ, you know, we've been trading for the last couple of weeks. They're up a lot now. It'd be nice for them to chill out for a day or two and kind of reset some charts. I think that's really important when you're trading. But right now, there are some good earnings plays that we can use out there. So let's take a look at some of those. eBay's popping up on earnings today. You're getting this thing right over this 200 SMA. The one caveat with eBay is going to be that because of its float size, it's going to be almost 1 billion shares. You're not going to probably get like an ORB on it, because usually a thicker stock like that, you need to let it settle. So you have to look for a deeper pattern, but it should be able to move. It's moved in the past, and it should have decent enough range. This EDU, this EDU's already pre-market, got an awesome range. I think this one should be able to wheel and deal this morning. A stock like this, it has, because of the range, you'll be able to catch an ORB at the open at a much easier basis. We'll watch for this one, right? Remember, ORBs, you get the gap up, but you need minimum 3 candles sideways at the open to hit it. If not, you're looking for the gap up and then a pullback to the 9 EMA to get this thing going. Remember that when we're trading the open, we trade really fast. Mr. Warren, a pleasure to have you. Happy first day. You know, one thing to just remember is that, you know, because the open is so fast, sometimes it's good to just watch for a couple days to see how we kind of take this thing up and down, because the open is really just about quick trades, right? When you're taking ORBs or quick pullback buys, those are really like 15, 20-minute trades for the most part. You know, you very rarely get a pattern at the open that's like a 3-candle pattern start to trend all day. Those are different patterns that we have to have set. This Pets is looking juicy. You've got yourself a bear flag over here that you're breaking back below. You've got a really nice push and range already pre-market that's taken this thing down. This one should have the ability to move fast too. So I think that we'll be able to take this one for an ORB. I'm looking at this one like literally at the open. I think this one should be able to move pretty quickly. Krispy Kreme, it's not really Krispy Kreme, but Crispy Therapeutics. This one's already got a sweet pre-market range too. You're starting to break under these levels here, and you're kind of taking off this trend line that it's been holding for really the last, you know, month or so since the market bottomed. And, you know, I think this one's going to have a little bit of juice too. Not my favorite. I like Pets better, but I think this one's good. And then this Black & Decker is getting dusted. I mean, usually a stock like this doesn't move very well, right? It's Black & Decker, but you're breaking over under two levels of support here. Already a $15 pre-market range on this thing. I think this one is also going to have the liquidity. You know, sometimes when you're trading some of these, you don't get good liquidity at the open. I think this one's going to give the liquidity we need also to make sure that we just nail this thing down. And, you know, I think this might be my fave out of the group. I think this one's going to have definitely the most range. Ideally, because it might have already triggered the SSR. You know, I think it has. Well, if we can get it to pop a little bit before it starts to roll, that'd be good. Like, the one thing I don't want to see on something like this with the SSRs on is it just bust under the pre-market low right away. It just doesn't give us enough shred. Ideally, I'd like this thing to kind of fiddle around here and then, boom, ORB and bust the pre-market low and take that down. That's going to give us a lot cleaner play. Something like similar to what we saw with Siggy Bear when we nailed Siggy the other day. That's going to be pretty good. And then this ANRC is moving around. You know, it looked like on TC2000 they had a buyout going, and then somebody said the buyout is off. Who knows? When that type of stuff happens, usually these things really start to move around. So we'll keep an eye on this bad boy too. It's going to have some pretty good range on it. It's just a matter of waiting for the trend to set and then hitting it. On the other side of things, like the non-PR stocks, I really like this W-Day. It actually, frankly, looks like a little bit of a swing trade. Whoa, hold on. Sorry about that. 1 second. There we go. All right, so this one's actually starting to look a little bit like a swing trade. You know, if it can kind of settle in, settle into this 170, you got a triple tap breakout over here, which is pretty powerful setup. You know, overall, this one is not the best day trader. Like usually what happens with this one, you get like a good thrust out of it, $5, $6, and then it often will flatline. I've seen it done like 50 times on this thing. Otherwise, man, the stash is gone now. Well, it's kind of gone. Tesla, big move down yesterday. You know, man, the range on it was 50 points from close to close. This thing is already looking like a kind of a red to green. If it breaks under 300, you got a nice round number there, but you're also going to break Friday's lows. That's going to be able to give it some real juice. And then if you see on its daily chart, right, this 300 is like 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests. So it's going to be really important, you know. Watch this thing if it starts to fizzle out. We called it the fizzler, right? Like it'll start to fizzle out during the day and then breaks under 300. I think you'll have yourself, you'll have yourself a decent trade on it. I know it's a little bit higher price and some of you guys like all these little pennies, but it should have a decent enough range where even if you're dusting 50 shares or 100 shares, you'll be able to play it properly. Cron, 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests, finally breaking out of its trend line here, and this old high, it looks like it's right there. You may see some additional upside in something like this. It's really starting to trend. Even though it's slightly extended, it's not overbought yet, and so it could have some potential upside on it still. And then I got CLVS. On watch for a potential base break. I know our list is a little bit long today, but frankly, when you get a hotter market, that's just the way it goes. When the market sucks, you go to ETFs and all that kind of stuff, and you watch like 3 things, because everything moves with the market when the market sticks. But what happens when the market decouples and starts trending to the high side, then it becomes a stock picker's market. So down market is an index market where you could just play a 3x ETF, and it's going to move, say, 5–10%, just like an individual stock would. So there's no advantage of trading stocks. Everything's getting dusted. But when the market starts trading the upside, becomes a stock picker market, you've got to have a little bit longer list, and then you're going to have more opportunity for earnings plays, but also for just regular stocks with range. So we'll have a little bit of action over here. Let me take a look at some of your stocks that you're watching. Staph infection. Yeah, you can probably add this staph in. If you're clearing these levels, you can look for it for patterns. This one may have a little bit of juice. Just don't chase it that first candle at the open. Remember what happens. You chase on these small cap stocks, that first candle, they can come back down. Let the trend set, right? Let a real pattern show up, and when you get one, you'll be looking good. Jivo. I'm not a fan of Jivo because, it faded off its whole gap on Friday. To me, that's just a misnomer. It's like, at that point, what's the point? So all these bounces will just be dead cat bounces. So once you fade off that opening gap, every single bounce after that, most of the time, is going to get faded off because they're just dead cat bounces. They're what we call the sucker's bounce, right? And you get so many bag holders in the thing that they got to sell this thing off, and you won't have really the juice that you want. Yeah, you could play J&J. It's going to be a little bit slower. It's a thick stock. It's 3 billion share float. But you are getting a little bit of movement on it. I mean, it's worth a watch. It's just the real thick ones, I have trouble getting the move I want. So, I usually stay away from those. But it's, you know, it's there. The play is there if you want it. Man, everybody loves team, huh? Yeah, so this team got dusted on Friday. Not sure why. Now it's kind of back to support. You know, I guess it was just kind of a two-tapper over here. To me, that's it's 50-50, right? When we look at plays, we want to focus in on what's clean, right? Like, if I see a stock break out, man, I darn well want to see that thing hold, right? But I don't want to see it completely reverse like $11. Sometimes you will, like Twilio, get a false breakout where it tries to break for a few days, but it just can't. And then it ends up kind of grinding higher and going. You know, where like, see like Twilio, like it tried to break out and it kind of came back, tried to break out and it kind of came back, but it never collapsed like a $10 kind of move to the downside, negating the setup. Where something like Team is really tricky because, you know, it popped up at the open and then, you know, it got dusted like 12 bucks. So that's where I think, you know, when you have something like that, I'm not sure if the breakout holds or not. If you want more continuation on it, you know, on the other side, it was only down a couple percent too. So it really just gave back like a couple days worth of gains. So it wasn't necessarily like it just got burnt and it totally collapsed and you're breaking through these levels. It really just gave back like 2 days worth of gains. So it's one of those kind of stocks that's like a tweener. You know, could you watch it and look for plays on it? Sure. But are there plays that might be cleaner or a little bit better? Probably. Hey, Amy, what's going on? Taco. Yeah, I'm not sure on this one because it's just not very clean. You know, obviously there's very little intraday action on it because probably just doesn't do the volume it wants. 300,000 shares makes it pretty illiquid. In a hot market, you know, liquidity is everything. There's going to be stocks that have just mega volume and stuff like that that you can play that can really fuel kind of some of these stocks. When they're illiquid like that, I mean, you know, they pop up for a little bit, then they come back down. And somebody's been asked about MBOT. You know, these type of things, once they get dusted, I mean, you know, you'll gap up like, you'll gap up and see strength, but they just get faded off. And it's actually the secondary shorts that become really kind of easier on it. You see it gapped up and then faded off $2. You know, it's just kind of bleeding out right now. I mean, could you watch it? Sure, but is there a reason to? I don't know if there's a huge edge in it. You know, unless they release like some type of secondary PR or something like that. You know, then we tend to have a little bit better of a play. So, guys, big watch list as always. A little bit longer than, you know, I'd prefer, but in a hot market, it's the way we got to go, right? So we got to have, we got to watch a few more things than we want, but frankly, there's some good trading out there, so we might as well have a little fun with it all. All right. Let's go do what we got to do, my friends. Let's have a little fun. As always, I'll be in the chat room probably for the next few hours. Hopefully we'll get some shreds out of it. I don't got to trade all days. I got some things to do.